Good morning, everybody. It is 1 a.m. here in Houston. And while the temperature is not all that low, it's still a little chilly outside. Make sure you have your jackets and keep yourself warm. You don't want to catch a cold, even though it's almost spring. Yes, flu season has just about completely gone, but that doesn't mean you still can't get sick. Make sure your feet are dry when you take your showers, when you wake up in the morning, or if you're going to bed at night. Okay, you can still catch a cold and you will suffer. I hear the sniffles are still going around. Make sure you keep yourself taken care of. Have some NyQuil if you will. Make sure you take some time off. Don't overwork yourself. Anyway, it is Thoughts If It Were You with Neil Gentrix here. And my last topic, I covered date rape. And weeks before, I covered relationships, both male and female side. Now, with that being said, I've gotten a lot of questions as to how to start a conversation with someone, okay? I honestly can't reply to all of you all at once, so I'm going to go ahead and do a quick segment on it. I have a list of conversational starters. I made a list of 250. You don't have to use all of these. You can use them to even reference and make your own. I will cover as many as I can in the time frame that I am allotted here in a second, and I'm going to help you out as well as cover some additional topics. All right. I have something else I would also love to cover. I don't know if I'm going to do it today, but when I do, you will be updated. You will know when it's posted. So, give me a quick second here. I will pull up this list and we'll get started, shall we? All right. Well, I got my list here. Let's go ahead and get started, shall we? Okay. Like I said, these are some random conversation starters that I came up with. You can find them online. You can find them at any other place. I'm pretty sure if you go online and search, you will find a good couple dozen. I compiled some of the best ones that I think are pretty good. Some are okay. Some I thought were strange, but I figured there's a question out there for everybody. All right. The first one is, what was the last funny video you saw? You'll want to get started, and it's a bit out there, but again, like I said, these are kind of random. Next would be, what do you do to get rid of stress? Now, this could be something you deal with if you're at work. Again, this depends on person to person, okay? What is something you are obsessed with? Now, while I wouldn't really recommend this question, it works for some people out there. The next three are, who is your favorite entertainer, comedian, musician, author? You can replace that word with pretty much anything. What's your favorite way to waste time? Now, this seems to be a very popular question, especially in the areas where I grew up. Here's another one. If you don't like any of those, here's one. Do you have any pets? And if so, what are their names? Most people have a pet, usually a cat and or a dog, unless they're some nature lover and they have a random parrot that just happens to cost $1,000, like my previous philosophy. And well, I will say that macaw was nice. It was really cool. Continuing here, where did you go? Where did you go last week, and what did you do? Or what are you going to do this weekend? These are good questions to ask, such as like, what did you do on your last vacation? Find out what the person likes. If you can build a common topic between you and them, you can get a good conversation going. Okay. One thing you do want to do is ask, what is something that is popular right now but annoys you? That way you don't accidentally talk about something that irritates the person. Okay, you don't want to do that. What was the last time you worked incredibly hard? This question is probably more reserved to the adults in the workforce more so than regular everyday life. Okay, are you very active? A very good question. Or rather, what do you prefer to do to relax in your free time? Okay, what do you do when you hang out with your friends? Or what's the best, worst thing about your work or school or job? These are simple questions you can ask. Who was your oldest friend? Where did you meet them? That's probably more aligned towards like getting to know the person, like you're trying to date them or something. Okay, if you have intro music, what song would it be, and why? Now, this is actually a question of spiritual musicians, but anybody can use it. Okay. Continuing with the list here, it's like, if you can have any animal as a pet, what animal would you choose? What are 3 words that best describe you? ever saved an animal's life, and how about a person's life? Okay? Or for those who are business makers, if you open a business, what kind of business would it be? Are you a very organized person? Have you ever spoken in front of a large group of people? How did it go? What is the strangest dream you've ever had? What is a controversial opinion you have? These are topics that most people would ask. Not as common unless you're in the workforce. Okay? Who in your life brings you the most joy? Who has had the biggest impact on the person you have become? What is the most annoying habit? Sorry, I can't read my own handwriting. What is the most annoying habit someone can have? I've actually asked this question a lot. It is annoying, but it just depends on the person. Picking up where I left off, I had to take a short break. Where is the most beautiful place you've ever been? Where do you spend most of your free time? Who's your best friend in elementary school? How often do you stay up past 3 a.m.? What's your favorite season and why? Which is more important, a great car or a great house? To each their own. Okay. What animal or insect do you wish humans could eradicate? Where is the best, most beautiful place near where you live? Now keep in mind, you need to consider these questions before you ask the person, depending on who you're talking to. Okay? What do you bring with you everywhere you go? How much time do you spend on the internet? And what do you usually do? Some of the questions that you ask have to be, I guess you could say, configured for the person you're talking to. Okay? Like, what is the most disgusting habit some people have? Or where and when was the most amazing sunset you ever seen? Okay, which recent news story is the most interesting? Now, while some of these questions may sound pretty generic, I've actually had them asked to me in a way where, it is what it is. So here's the next one. What is your guilty pleasure? What was there ever an event in your life that defied explanation? Has anyone ever saved your life? How often do you curse? And believe it or not, that's actually a question anyone can ask, considering people nowadays don't know when to stop. What trends did you follow when you were younger? What do you fear inside hiding in the dark? Some people are still afraid of the dark. What is the silliest fear you have? Or what do you do to improve your mood when you're in a bad mood? Where is the best place to take a date? What smell brings back great memories? What is the silliest fear you have? Where's the best place for a date? I believe I said that already. I think I wrote it twice, forgive me. What's the funniest TV series you have ever seen? Who besides your parents had the biggest impact on your life? Or what weird or useless talent do you have? Now, granted, I'm not going to cover this entire list. And I did say I wasn't going to. I'm just going to cover some of the major ones, questions that have been asked of me, like how has TV changed over the years? I'm not going to cover all of them. I'm just going to cover some. The whole point is to give you something to break the ice with and something to use. It's something you have to keep in mind. When you're trying to break the ice, you're not trying to initially start a conversation to make the person like you. Your initial attempt is just to get the person's attention and have them focus on you for just that moment, long enough to start a conversation and get it going. Okay? That is the whole point for this. It's just something to think about, something to focus on, which is, after all, the whole point of this channel. Thoughts if it were you. Things to think about if you were either the other person. What would you want to hear? If so, what questions would you want someone to ask you? But consider the other person before you do this, as a person may be a troglodyte, maybe male, female, married, not married, your boss, emo, what have you. You have to consider the other person and who they are, how they act, what you see they do, and figure out what topics you can and cannot talk about, and figure out what is taboo. The last thing you want to do is piss them off, make them mad, or make them cry. In some people's case, some have a very fragile ego, and chase them off. All right, that's it for this episode. I will talk to you guys later. Enjoy the rest of your day.